April 26, 1986. A reactor explodes. A city dies overnight, and then the world looks away. But something remarkable happened in the silence that followed. In the absence of humanity, in the poisoned soil and irradiated air, life did not retreat. Life adapted, and in the darkest, most contaminated corners of what the world abandoned, life began to evolve. This book is not a story about the disaster you know. This is a story about what came after. Tonight, a war rages deep beneath the surface of Reactor 4, in corridors untouched by human footsteps for decades. This war is being fought without any witnesses present. No mercy and no end. To understand what lives here, you must first understand where here is. The sarcophagus, that massive steel and concrete shell built in desperate haste by Soviet engineers, was designed to entomb the reactor, to seal it, to silence it. It is, in effect, a tomb built around a wound that never fully closed. Even now, the reactor core continues to emit heat, continues to leak, continues to shape everything around it. Beneath its floors and subterranean chambers carved by the explosion itself, the temperature is warmer than the world above. Water seeps through cracks and collects in dark pools that glow faintly, not with light, but with the imperceptible shimmer of Cherenkov radiation. The air, thick and stagnant, is charged with invisible particles that are devastating when accumulated. And in this world, this sealed, forgotten one, evolution has not slowed, it has accelerated. They arrived within years of the disaster, tiny, relentless, carried perhaps on the winds or through cracks too small to measure. Ants. The species, a variant that taxonomists struggle to precisely classify due to its dramatic divergence from its surface cousins, arrived as ordinary foragers and transformed into something entirely different. Over decades of exposure and generations of mutation and adaptation, they have transformed. Their exoskeletons, once dark and chitinous, have become partially translucent, thin enough in certain lights to glimpse the internal structures beneath. Their eyes, already compound and faceted, have expanded, shifting sensitivity away from wavelengths of visible light and towards something else. Heat, electromagnetic fields, or the subtle gradients of radiation itself. They are, in the truest sense, a new kind of creature. The colony numbers in the tens of thousands. A precise count is impossible. They have claimed an entire subchamber beneath the reactor's eastern foundation, a space roughly the size of a small apartment, accessible only through passages wide enough to admit a hand and no wider. Within that space, they have constructed a civilization of extraordinary complexity. Layered galleries, ventilated tunnels, and brood chambers, lined with material gathered from their environment. They tend their larvae with the same devotion you would find in a tropical rainforest colony 10,000 miles away. They communicate through chemical language. Pheromone trails so intricate they carry what researchers have called, cautiously, a kind of distributed memory, allowing them to coordinate activities, share information about food sources, and respond to threats collectively. The colony is, by any reasonable measure, a single organism. Each individual is a cell. Together, they think. And tonight, something has disturbed their thinking. It comes from deeper down. The radioactive cave scorpion, the name is more descriptive than species designation, emerged from a lineage that predates the disaster. Scorpions have lived underground in Eastern Europe for centuries. They are ancient survivors, designed by evolution for exactly this kind of existence: darkness, pressure, scarcity. The explosion and the radiation that followed killed many of them, but not all. The survivors passed their resilience on to future generations, and forward again and again. What emerged decades later is something both familiar and alien. It measures roughly 6 centimeters from the tip of its chelicerae to the base of its telson, its stinger. By scorpion standards, it is formidable. By the standards of the world above, it is small. But in this world, in these corridors, it is an apex predator. It is fed on smaller arthropods, on fungi, on whatever organic matter its sensitive chemoreceptors can detect. It has grown large and slow on a diet of whatever the darkness provides. And tonight, it is hungry in a way it rarely is. The tunnels it usually hunts have grown cold, their populations of prey depleted. Its metabolism, elevated by the low-level radiation it absorbs the way a plant absorbs sunlight, demands fuel it cannot find elsewhere. It moves toward the warmth of the colony like a compass finding north. Its arrival is announced not by sound, it makes almost none, but by chemistry. The outermost foragers detect it first, not through sight, not through sound. The alien tang of its presence is detected through its pheromones, shed skin particles, and the faint electromagnetic disturbance caused by its nervous system moving through the dark. The message propagates inward through the colony at a speed that would surprise you. Within seconds, the outer galleries change. Workers retreat, soldiers advance. The composition of the colony's pheromone atmosphere shifts from the baseline frequency of routine labor to something sharper, something older, something that carries in its molecular structure a single, urgent command: defend. The scorpion enters the outer tunnel, and the colony's response is immediate. The first wave of soldiers does not attack. They position themselves, a ring of bodies, antennae raised, absorbing information. They are buying time. Within the galleries behind them, the colony is mobilizing with a precision that has no human analog. There is no general. There is no command structure in the way we understand it. There is only the pheromone language, updated in real time, routing soldiers like packets through a network, directing each individual toward the role the collective has assigned. The scorpion strikes. Its chelicerae, the front claws, move with a speed that, scaled to human proportions, would be like a hydraulic press operated by a reflex arc. The first 3 ants die instantly. Their bodies release alarm pheromones that intensify the signal already flooding the tunnel. More soldiers arrive. They do not hesitate. They climb. This behavior is the ant's great evolutionary innovation, and it is devastating to witness. The willingness to sacrifice, paired with the mathematical certainty that enough sacrifices will win. Each individual soldier clamps its mandibles and holds on through the scorpion's futile shaking, and even when the stinger arcs downward and kills a neighbor centimeters away. They hold, they bite, they inject formic acid into joints, eye lenses, and the articulated gaps between exoskeletal plates where the armor is thinnest. The scorpion is powerful, but it is only one creature. And one, in this chamber, is never enough. The weight begins to tell. Its movements are slow, not from any single wound, but from the accumulation of 100 tiny ones. Joints packed with dead soldiers and acid. Chemoreceptors overwhelmed by the chemical warfare the colony is waging on a molecular level, leading to a breakdown in the scorpion's ability to sense its environment and respond effectively. The scorpion's metabolism, so well adapted to radiation, has no answer for this overwhelming chemical assault, leaving it vulnerable and unable to escape effectively. It attempts to retreat. The tunnel is already sealed behind it. This occurrence is not coincidence. The colony anticipated it. When it ends, the tunnel is still. The dead are counted in dozens, soldiers who gave what they were biologically designed to give without hesitation, without fear, without anything we would recognize as awareness of sacrifice. The colony does not mourn them. It processes them. Their chemical signatures, released in death, become information, the strength of the intruder, the duration of the engagement, and the specific vulnerabilities it exploited. This data, encoded in pheromone, will persist in the colony's collective memory for hours, perhaps days. The next scorpion, if it comes, will face a colony that has already fought this battle. Workers begin the systematic work of recovery, clearing passages, tending to the wounded soldiers that can be recovered, and removing those that cannot. The brood chambers are assessed. The larvae are unharmed. The queen continues her endless, relentless work. Within an hour, the colony will look from the outside like nothing happened. Within 2 hours, foraging patrols will resume their routes. The chemical language will return to its baseline frequency. Life, in the heart of the exclusion zone, does not pause to reflect. Above the sarcophagus, the sky is ordinary. Birds pass over it. Wind moves through the trees of the red forest. Those trees, stained by radiation in the disaster's first days, now grown back and now thriving in a way that confounds easy understanding of what damage means and what recovery means. Wolves range through the abandoned streets of Pripyat. Wild boar root through the basements of empty apartment buildings. Lynx move silently through forests that have not heard a chainsaw in 40 years. The exclusion zone is often called a dead zone. Those who refer to it as a dead zone have never actually entered it. Chernobyl, since the last human left, has always been an experiment. Not a designed one, not a controlled one, an accidental one, running in real time, with no end date and no observer with the patience to truly watch. Deep beneath the reactor, in a chamber that no instrument can reliably measure, a colony of translucent ants is already preparing for tomorrow. The ants do not understand their own nature. They do not know where they came from. They do not know that the world that made them, the explosion, the abandonment, and the decades of silence was a catastrophe. They only know the tunnel, the darkness, the next threat. It is an absolute, non-negotiable imperative to survive. In the smallest wars, there are no monuments. Only the living continue to move forward.